Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 5 of Direwolf20's Server Play series. Boy, am I running low on inventory space. That's something I'm going to have to remedy pretty soon. But before I get to cleaning up my inventory, I want to show you the Cobalt that I got. Hooray, lots of Cobalt. Not necessarily a lot of Cobalt, but at least enough to get me started on something I want to work on. So remember last episode I made a really nice pickaxe, which has already taken quite a bit of durability damage, but don't worry, I'll show you guys a good way to handle that. And then I've also got this extra manulin ingot that I drained from my furnace because I want to make a manulin sword. Let's grab a couple things that we're going to need here, and I'm going to go outside and get it. So I think I said last episode I needed to get a couple things before I could really get a proper sword for myself, and I've already got everything I want. Let's go outside and see what we can do with it. Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. Here we go. So let's get our book. Here it is. And we'll go through a couple different properties and materials I'm going to use here. First off, I would like to use cactus, which is a pretty nice item to use as a tool rod because it has a 1.x modifier, so 1.0x modifier means it won't hurt the durability of the tool. The other ability that it has, which is really nice, is the material trait of jagged, which is a splintering of level 1. Splintering basically means that the lower the durability of the tool, the more damage it's going to do. So just like stonebound helps me to mine faster when the tool gets low in durability, the sword is going to go ahead and be more damaging once the durability gets low. Next up we have manulin here, which I'm going to use as the base attack for 2 hearts. As far as I know, this is the most damaging material you can use as of this version of the mod. So this is definitely what I'm going to do. So manulin, and then finally the binding that I'm going to make is going to be made out of paper. Now paper is really weak, so you don't want to use it as a handle modifier. Otherwise you'll only have 1/3 the durability. As you can see here, you don't want to do that. Okay, so what you want to go ahead and do is the following. Go ahead and get yourself this as the binding, because then the binding doesn't take on the handle modifier trait, okay? And it won't affect anything like the attack or the level or the speed of the tool, but it will add on the material trait, which is writable, which adds 1 modifier. Remember when I was modifying over here my pickaxe and we found that I only had 3 modifiers on it? Well, by adding paper as one of the tool bindings, you're going to have 4 modifiers instead of 3. So it's going to give you the opportunity to, do a little bit of better modification of your tool, which is absolutely something we're going to want to do. The more modifiers we get, the better. You can also add 2 more modifiers after the fact. One by adding a piece of diamond in a gold block will add an extra modifier, and then another modifier can be added with a nether star, which, obviously pretty expensive. So let's smelt up our manulin here. First off, though, I need to get a couple things. Let me actually bring a chest out here because I should probably keep some of the metals that I'm going to want in a nearby chest so I don't have to run back and forth to my base all the time. So we have some things in here that I need to get. First off, I'm going to grab 3 of you because I'm going to need you in a bit. We're going to want our aluminum, and we're going to want, I should have around here somewhere, it's probably in here. There it is, aluminum brass. So I need to make 1 more of those casts. So let's start smelting up the aluminum brass. There we go, just 1 for now. Come on, buddy, get in there. And I'm going to place this chest down over here, and I'll put my manulin and aluminum brass in there for now. That looks pretty good. What I need to do to make a sword, there's actually a couple different swords you can make. There's the broadsword, which is basically your standard sword. It's got a high durability and a moderate amount of damage. When you right click, it'll block just like a normal sword. When you make a long sword, however, when you right click, you'll have this charge boost ability, which kind of lunges your player forward, and it's pretty neat. It has moderate damage and durability. And then finally, the rapier is a really nice tool. It's got really quick attack speed. It's also got the armor pierce ability, and it also has a charge boost. The right click ability is a back pedal. It kind of makes you lunge backwards a little bit. However, it has low damage, so you're going to be doing a bit less damage. So the sword I tend to like to use is the iron sword. Standard equivalent is the broadsword here. So I'm going to need a wide guard and a handle. So let's get ourselves a wide guard pattern because I don't think I have one of those yet. I think it looks like that. Cool. The wide guard pattern is going to go into the part builder, and I'm going to get myself some paper. Now note here that 3 pieces of paper, okay, is going to make, or it's 1 piece of paper per 0.5 material. So you're going to need 2 pieces of paper if you're making anything with a 1 material cost, okay? I've got my sword blade pattern here. Why don't I get myself a basic sword blade, like a stone one, so that I can pretty quickly go over here. And is the smelting done yet? It is. So now I can get my mold for a sword blade. Cool. And I'll just throw this piece of junk in here. I don't really need to hold on to it. And then I'll get my manual cooking up. And we'll get ready to make that. So I've got my wide guard, and then I'm going to get the tool rod that I need made out of cactus, right? Because it is a tool rod that we need here. Yeah. Looking good. And an extra cactus shard, which I can use at some point in the future if I need to. So why don't I wait for my manual to smelt up, and then what I want to work on next is getting a hammer. Hammers are very useful when mining, and I'd also, I think, like to work on getting even better axe. So in order to get that, though, we need a better tool station. We're going to need a tool forge. And a tool forge is made with a tool station, 4 blocks of iron, and 3 seared bricks, which is why I grabbed those 3. So let's pick this thing up. I'm waiting for my manual to cook. And head downstairs to get some iron. Now, of course, it's a lot of iron that you have to use, but trust me, it's going to be worth it. Tool forge, craft, go. Shift click with any eye, pretty much a lot of fun. Cool. And don't worry, pretty soon I might actually move out of this little cave hole in the ground and actually build a decent house. But we'll get there. For now, I'm getting just some infrastructure set up and the ability to mine very quickly. So with the tool forge, you'll see there's several opportunities that present themselves with different tools and options and items here. One of the things is the hammer, which I'm going to be making soon, which is going to require a couple of these nifty gadgets. They are expensive to make, though. If I come over here and show you, we'll see that the hammerhead, that's the wide board pattern. Should be a hammerhead in here somewhere. Well, the plate pattern costs 8 materials, so I'm going to need 8 of a material, and then I'm also going to need the hammerhead, which is also 8. So as we can see, a hammer needs 2 of the plates and 1 hammerhead, so I'm going to need 8 times 3, 24 of whatever material I'm going to make the hammer out of. I do want to make it out of cobalt, because cobalt has the fastest mining speed, and with a really fast hammer, you can tear through mining. So it's pretty much your best bet is to make your hammer out of cobalt, all right? And that's what I think the plan is to do. I think we're going to do that, absolutely. So we're going to need a lot more cobalt than we have. I need a total of 24. By dropping this cobalt ore in the smelter over here, we'll get up to 20. I could do a little bit of mining, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to come up with a way to get even more cobalt out of the ore that I already have. Because, you know, we want to be efficient. But before we get all of that, let's get our broadsword going. All right, so we're going to get a paper wide guard, we're going to get a cactus tool rod, and we're going to get a manual sword blade. Dire Sword 20. Oh yeah. Sweet. So as we can see here, according to this little setting, this thing is doing 4 hearts of damage, which is pretty nice. All right, not a bad sword at all. Okay, so, but I want to upgrade that. And in order to upgrade that, I'm going to need a couple things. First off, remember I told you guys that you got a little bit of luck if you threw some lapis on there? Well, just like you can get the fortune enchant on your pickaxe, if you throw some lapis on the sword, you're going to get looting. Okay, the other thing you can throw on there is some nether quartz. Nether quartz is going to increase the damage that the sword does. So why don't I show you guys how to make this real quick. All right, I'm going to throw some lapis on there for sure, because, hey, looting is nice to have. That looks good. And then I'm going to turn this nether quartz into blocks of nether quartz. That ought to do. So that's pretty much the main stuff I want to put on the sword at this time. I've got 4 modifiers available. I'm going to first modify it with lapis. So remember, bumping the lapis all the way up only uses 1 modifier, which is pretty nice. There we go. 90 out of 450. So pretty soon I might get some luck on that. I might need to throw a little bit more lapis on to get my first level of looting. But I'm also going to now throw a modifier on of quartz. And we'll see that quartz, just putting 1 block on there, bumps the damage up to 4.5 hearts. Nice. So let's get that going. And now we're up to 5 hearts. Awesome. So I've modified this with 1 full level of quartz. 72 out of 72 pieces of quartz total went into doing this, and it bumped me up from 4 to 5.5 hearts. But I've still got 2 modifiers remaining, and I can't think of much else I'd want on a sword, so I'm going to go ahead and bump it up even further. There we go. Almost enough. Let's get a little bit more on there. I'd like to bump it up all the way to the top of the next level. There we go. 6.5 hearts. Nice. So there's a little bit of diminishing returns. You're not going to get quite as much more damage on, but I mean, hey, pretty good still, right? So that's probably a good starting point. We're going to want to throw a little bit more quartz on there later, probably. I might use up the 3rd modifier on quartz. And remember, it's not too bad a deal to use up all your modifiers because you do still have 2 more available. The only other thing I might want to put on this thing, if we took a look at our book, at the different modifiers that are available, I'll show you guys some options that would be cool to put on a sword, but I usually don't. Let's see here. Auto repair, nice to have, auto repair on the sword. It'll automatically repair. Pretty slow, but it will automatically repair itself. You can also put auto smelt on, which doesn't make sense for a sword. Luck, which we did. Sharpness, which we saw. Fiery, will set enemies on fire. Cool. Every 5 powder adds another second to the flame. That's pretty neat. You can also get Necrotic, which is a really nice one. It'll heal the player anytime they attack a monster. That one might actually be something we might want to put on, so I might hold off on any more damage abilities. Okay. You can also get Silk Touched and Reinforcement, Knockback. Beheading is nice to get on there. If we put Beheading on, it'll have a higher chance of knocking off their head. Really useful for wither skeletons, which we'll see later on. And then you can do some other stuff like Smite and Bane of Arthropods. And then finally, you can also upgrade it with electrical abilities, so you can store either IC2 power or the Redstone Flux ability. If you threw, like this, a Leadstone Energy Cell on there, you'd be able to charge this up with Leadstone, the Redstone Flux stuff from Thermal Expansion, and charge it up in a special charging block, which we'll check out definitely in the future as well. But for now, I've got an awesome sword, and there's a zombie pigman in my house. How did you even get in here? Probably came through my nether portal. That's too funny. I guess he can stay. That's fine. Alright, for now, what I'm going to do is start getting prepared to increase my outcome of my cobalt, because I really want more of it. I want to have as much as possible. There's a couple different things we can do to increase it, but we'll see. Alright, I'll be right back. Alright guys, we're back, and I'm preparing to make some stuff from Factorization. Factorization is a mod that adds a whole bunch of nifty stuff, including barrels, routers, which I'll show you guys later, and there's even some really, really nifty new stuff by way of servos, which I haven't had a chance to show you yet at all, even on Forgecraft, but don't worry, it's definitely coming soon that I'll show it to you. Factorization actually adds a way for you to get up to triple your ore output. It's a pretty complex method of making things. So basically, in order to get up there, so for example, Cobalt, let's start back at the beginning, okay? So Cobalt ore, we can do the following with. We can use what's called a lacerator, okay? This thing will turn Cobalt ore into 2 dirty cobalt gravels, okay? It's the only mod that can modify cobalt in this way, so you can't drop it into a pulverizer or a macerator from Industrial Craft. You're going to have to lacerate it like this, and you'll get 2 of these, all right? So that's going to double it in the same way that it would have doubled it if you had thrown it into your smeltery, okay? Then what you need to do is wash it with something called a mixer or a shapeless crafting recipe, and that'll give you clean cobalt, 1 for 1. Then you're going to want to take your clean cobalt and throw it in a slag furnace, which will increase it by 25%. Okay, and then once you've got your reduced chunks, you're going to want to put it in a crystallizer, which will bump it up by another 20%. So in the end, you should get about 300%, which is pretty good. The downside is the crystallizer step takes like 15 minutes, no kidding, no exaggeration, to process. You can process 5 of these cobalt chunks at a time, but it's going to take a really long time. All right, another option for this, all right, if we slip a little bit backwards to our dirty cobalt gravel, we'll see that one option is to throw it into a slag furnace. Now, you're only going to get about 142%, so you're not going to get quite triple, but you're still going to get a good amount, and it's going to happen a little bit quicker. So why don't we go down that path? We're going to get almost, 1.5 times, not quite, 1.4 times if you want to be super technical about it. which I guess, we do. So let's get a couple things. First off, we're going to need to make ourselves a battery. Batteries are available in here somewhere. There we go, battery block. We can see the battery block is some lead and some iron around sulfuric acid, which is a water bottle, 2 gunpowder, and coal. Okay, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Why don't I start getting some of the stuff I'm going to need prepared, and then we'll be right back. You know what, I'm having so many inventory issues before I really jump too far into this. Why don't I upgrade a couple of these chests? That sound like a good plan or what? I'm going to take this wood to iron chest upgrade. Okay, iron chests adds a bunch of different chests. You can see that you get the option of your wooden one is standard, okay, but then you can upgrade to iron, gold, diamond, copper, silver, not necessarily in that order, and eventually crystal is the best one that you can make. Diamond's going to hold the most, and crystal holds the same amount as diamond, but long story short, upgrading your wooden chest to an iron chest is just as easy as clicking this button. Boom, look at that. So it took the inventory there and pretty much doubled it. So I'm probably going to want to keep both of these down here as upgrades, but I'm going to throw away some of my excess junk that I've got laying around. Yeah, because I've got a ton of it. We're going to want to clean up and sort out our inventory later, I think. For now, I want to go ahead and mess around with what I've got. So remember I said we're going to need to get a water bottle. And yeah, let me get some gunpowder here. I know I'm going to need a bit of it, and some coal. There we go, sulfuric acid. Okay, we're going to need some lead and some iron. And that'll get us a battery. And it comes fully charged, so that's the good news. You don't have to charge up your battery. Okay, so that's step 1. We've got a battery. All right, let's get on to factorization. All right, next up, we're going to want to use that battery. We're going to get something to be able to continuously charge our battery. And for this, I'm going to make the following: a calorimetric burner and a water boiler. Okay, water boilers can boil water, but it needs an external heat source. That external heat source can either come in the way of mirrors, which reflect sunlight at water boilers, but you're going to need a lot of them, and they cost a lot of materials, and it's kind of like the free energy way of doing it. Your other option is a calorimetric burner. Okay, this guy is going to require some bone, another piece of sulfuric acid, some leather, and a sticky piston. Okay, which I can craft, don't worry. Leather I might be low on. I don't know if I've gotten any leather yet. I might need to go find some cows. Yeah, I'll probably have to do that for sure. Okay, but don't worry. I'm going to go find some cows, and then we'll be able to get this calorimetric burner going. But before I get that, I'm going to go ahead and craft the water boiler, which is pretty easy. Just need some iron bars, actually. I can manage that. So this will be able to boil some water for me. And then once we've got the water boiler going, we're going to need a steam turbine. This guy is actually a little bit trickier to make. We're going to need a motor, which requires a magnet and some insulated coiling. Magnets are pretty easy to make, though. We just need some lead wire and wrap it around a piece of iron and attach a battery to it, and it'll give us a magnet. All right, lead wire is just 3 pieces of lead. So let's get it going. I'm going to need a few pieces of lead extra, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. The good news about this, too, is this magnet cost doesn't really drain much. It doesn't use the lead. It doesn't use much of the battery. It uses about 40% of the charge, and it doesn't even use our lead wire. So that's kind of neat. Okay, so we've got our magnet. What else did we need for that steam turbine? Some insulated coiling, which is just lead all the way around a piece of clay. So let's get ourselves some clay. And I know I'm going to need a few of these probably, so let's just do that. And the lead all the way around it. Cool. All right. And that's about it, I think. Let's do this. Beautiful. Motor's ready. Steam turbine's also going to need a fan, which is easy enough to make. And then we're going to need some glass panes. And that's about it. So I should have a little bit more glass cooked up by now. See how my inventory is getting pretty crazy? Yeah. And then the steam turbine's ready. Awesome. So then finally I'm just going to need a little bit of water. So I think I picked out a small little room in the back here that I'd like to go ahead and do this in. Let's start putting it together. All right. I'm going to go dig into the ground a little bit here. Some appetite, nice. I'll come back for more of that later. So there's one bucket. You're going to want to create an infinite water source. There's a lot of zombie pigmen coming out of there. There we go. And then you're going to want to put your steam turbine right on top of it. So it says here, or no, your water boiler needs a heat source, sucks water from below. So your water boiler right on top of it. Cool. Okay, so that needs the heat source. But then next up, we've got the steam turbine. That's what's actually going to generate your electricity from the steam that's created from the water boiler. And that electricity can get stored in the battery block. So the only thing we need left is to get some leather to get our calorimetric burner, and then we'll be good to go. So I'm actually going to place my battery block right here, which means we're ready to rock. Let me go get some leather. How are you, sir? Actually, I have an idea to show you guys a good place to get leather, because I don't know, I haven't seen many cows nearby. Let's head to the nether, because there's actually some enemies in the nether you can go after to get some leather. Let me just see if I find any. I think there was some pretty close by, actually. Let me look around, I'll be right back. Here we go. Imps. They're semi-friendly, but they will attack you if you attack them. And they drop imp leather, which can be turned into leather. Pretty cool, huh? You can also go ahead and make it into armor, which gives you a little bit of protection. So it's, not bad. It is still, leather type armor, but hey, 4 of them turns into 2 leather. I'll take it. And I just got 6 leather from that guy. Awesome. If I find any more imps, I'll kill them, but I have enough leather now, so I'll meet you back in the overworld. So a quick, easy way to use pistons and sticky resin from Industrial Craft will get you a sticky piston. No need to find slimes. There's a couple different ways you can get this and go about it, but the sticky resin from Industrial Craft is definitely an option. The only thing to note about this is sticky resin comes from rubber trees. We haven't checked that out just yet, but don't worry, we'll definitely get there. So a little bit more sulfuric acid will do just the right trick. Let's see here. And then while we're at it, I'm going to go ahead and get some bones. There we go. Cool. Coal. Gunpowder. And then do your thing. Nice. Calorimetric burner. So how does the calorimetric burner work? Well, it's pretty easy. It cooks food. That's basically the way it works. Put any kind of food in there, and it's going to cook it up and, basically create energy. So I'm going to go get a bunch more bread for myself and for this thing. There we go. Cool. And I'm not sure exactly, if other foods are better than others or if saturation counts. Not positive about that, but, just keep in mind that, different types of food can probably have different effects. There we go. Gonna replant my farm. Awesome. Because after all, I'm still doing a little bit rough by food. I've got a decent amount. I'm not starving anymore, but, I don't want to be wasteful, that's for sure. And then I'm just going to turn this stuff into bread. Cool. Your next wheat flour. But for now, I can throw the bread that I have in here, right in here by just simply right-clicking it. Boom, and you'll see there's 5 bread inside. Cool. Why don't I get one more thing to help me out from factorization? And that would be the charge meter. So I'm just going to need a sign, okay? That shouldn't be too hard to get. And then the charge meter works like so. The charge meter allows you to read the charge off a block, so you can see how much it's currently got going on. So throw these signs away for a minute. You can also take the paper back. Awesome. So we can see here it's currently got 4 bread in it. It's got a few seconds left, and then I can use the charge meter to see how good a job it's doing. Creating a charge and filling up the battery. So the battery is back up to 68% charge. Nice. Once this thing kicks off again and starts spinning it, the one calorimetric burner is not going to produce too much energy, but it'll get the job done. Throw a little bit more bread in there for you. And then, of course, you can also apply a redstone signal to this to stop it from running. So I'm going to set that up real fast. There we go. With the redstone signal applied, it should, once it runs out of the current fuel source, it's going to stop running. So, nice. We'll let this thing produce a little bit more energy, and while that's happening, we need to get a way to make dirty cobalt gravel. And for that, we're going to need a socket block, which is pretty easy to make. Okay, it's just a slab, which I think I have some, don't I? Yeah, I do. And a couple iron bars gets me the socket block that I'm going to need. This is going to be placed right here next to the battery. Cool. I'm going to let you continue to run, I think. Produce more energy and such. And then the last thing I'm going to need, unfortunately, is a little bit expensive and tricky, but because I want to really care about how much cobalt I've got, I'm going to have to go ahead and make it. It's a diamond cutting head, which, you know, as part of a lacerator, I also need to make another motor, so I need another magnet. Not a big deal, I'll get that taken care of. Let me show you guys how to make the diamond cutting head, though. I'm going to need diamond block shard, which you get by exploding a diamond block. That's right, I got to blow one up. So let's get some TNT, just like so. And a diamond block, which again is expensive, but don't worry. I'm going to use these diamond shards somewhat often, so we'll definitely see in the future some more use for it. Let's go outside for this because we're about to blow stuff up. And we're going to sleep through the night before we do it, because the last thing I want is some zombies and skeletons sneaking up on me while I'm trying to work with a block of diamond. Besides, I feel a little bit better that I saved myself diamond earlier. I'm just going to kind of go off a little bit further away, maybe up on this hill or something, just nice and far away from my house. And then it's as simple as placing down diamond, placing down TNT, and blowing it up. Stand back. Ta-da! And you'll see that by doing that, we got some shards of diamond. Cool, 18 of them to be exact. So you basically get 2 shards per diamond. Now, the other cool thing about this is, let's see. All right, I thought you could turn them back into diamonds, but I guess not. Oh well, that's all right. We will have plenty of use for these coming down the line. There's a few things that we can use these diamond shards for, and we'll definitely like it. I'll clean this up and fill the rest of this in later. Let's head back to the base, and I'll be back after I've crafted the lacerator. There we go. With the lacerator crafted, it's pretty easy. Just plop it down on the block there. I'm going to go ahead and put my battery back. Remember, I had to use that to make another magnet. And this thing's kind of ready to roll. The only other thing it's going to need is a place to store the items that it grinds up. So let's get ourselves a chest. Cool. Awesome. Then all I have to do is place my cobalt right in front of it, and it should start running. And we can see here the charge it's got and the speed it's running at. And once it's gone ahead and ground up that cobalt ore, it's going to go ahead and drop it right in the chest behind it. Let's see what happens. Now it does take a little bit of time, don't be surprised, because I mean, you know, after all, we're grinding up cobalt. It's not the easiest thing to chew up. And it's draining a bit of energy too. We can see this energy quickly dropping while this is happening. I might need another calorimetric. We'll see. Having 2 of them would probably help a little bit, but, you know, we'll see what happens. Wow, this thing really does take a while. There we go. It finally broke through. Alright, so that was a little bit weird. I think there was a little bit of a desync there that had to happen. I just wanted to look up the recipe to confirm I was right, but then when I came back a few seconds later, it was there. You know what? Let's do this a little bit of a safer way. Do I have... Let me go cut down a tree. That sounds like a good plan. Yes, cutting down a tree will most assuredly help me here. Let's knock this one down, or at least a few pieces of it. Pretty close. I'm gonna need 2 more. I'm gonna get the rest of this tree in a minute, but that'll do. Let's craft a barrel. Not sure if this wood will work, but oh, you know what? I need that other thing. Let's see. There it is. Not sure if this biome's of plenty wood will work, but we're about to find out. Hey, yeah, it does. Cherry wood barrel. Nice. The other option here is putting things in a barrel. Now, barrels are neat. Barrels can only store one of any item type, okay? But when you put items in a barrel in front of Lacerator, it's going to chew right through it, and it'll take care of doing everything we want it to do. The cool thing about barrels is that they can store up to 64 stacks of any item, but it can only store one item at a time, one type of item that is. And you can get a bunch of different kinds of barrels. There's regular barrels, and then there's silky birchwood barrels, which you can pick up the stuff that's inside it. A hopping birchwood barrel, which acts like a hopper, and then a larger birchwood barrel, which is basically two barrels with a hopper in between. It's double the storage space, so you can have 128 stacks of that item in there. If we come over here, we'll see, there we go, working much better. No more of a little bit of a desync there, and we're getting our nice dirty cobalt gravel. Awesome. So we should in the end have about 20 of these, right? Because I had 10 pieces of cobalt, and we're doubling it. Next up, I need a slag furnace. Pretty easy to make, just 2 furnaces. Nice. And then some of this stuff here, and we get our slag furnace. Now, there is a way to power this with the electricity part of this, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to pop it down here and use coal. Okay, so let's see, what did we get? There we go, total of 20 dirty cobalt gravel. Now, like I said, there's about 140% chance, or 140% of this dirty cobalt what we get. So we should wind up with about 20 plus 40%, so we should get about 25-ish. We're going to see. Let's see what happens after it's done smelting. What you'll see is occasionally you'll get 2 instead of 1. That's basically how it works. It's a 40% chance of getting doubled here. See, we got 2 there. Nice. Be right back. And while waiting for this to smelt, I'm going to go ahead and throw my ardite in there and let me do the same thing with ardite. Like I said, if you wanted to get this all the way up to like almost triple, you could go through a much longer process that takes a lot more time, but for now the slag furnace is a pretty good option. We can see we've already burned through about 6 of them, and we've got 9 cobalt ingots, so we're definitely doing pretty good. So did I say, what, 25 before? Yeah, my math was off. I meant to say 28 is about what I should get, because 40% of 20 would be 8. Yeah, that's right. So I got 29, so luck was in my favor. I got a little bit more than I expected, but pretty much that's how math and statistics works, right? So I'm going to go throw these into my smeltery, and then we're going to make some really nice tools. Unfortunately, though, didn't get quite as far as I wanted to this episode, so we're going to have to come back next episode to make the hammer. But once I've got it, we're going to have a lot of luck breaking stuff down. So I've got my cobalt in there. I'm going to smelt it between this episode and next. When we get back next episode, we'll make a really nice hammer that's going to do a great job of clearing stuff out. For now, though, unfortunately, we have hit the wrapping up point, so have to say it. Sorry. This is Direwolf20 signing off. Hope you've enjoyed the episode, and as always, take it easy.